Hey, how are you doing?
Good, Tobias. How are you, man?
Very well. Very well, thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking a few minutes, jumping on to talk about the show in Saginaw coming up in about a week, Monday, September 19th. The Imperatour will be at the Dow Event Center here in Saginaw. And I'll tell you what, I know when this tour was announced and Saginaw was included on the list of dates, I had some people asking me, really? Ghost is playing Saginaw? Can you explain a little bit why it's important for Ghost to play Saginaw as opposed to playing Detroit or Grand Rapids again?
Look, man, I mean, Saginaw, that arena, if you look at it through any classic metal tour from the 80s, it's on there. A lot of classic rock has gone through that arena. So we don't want to, we want to do the same. For me, it's always been a thing. Me and Nick Storch, our agent, he has been representing us for as long as we've been playing in America, and we're practically the same age and both metalheads and love a lot of the same bands. And one of the first things that we started talking about when we started working was that I really want to, when I was a kid and I sat there with Live After Death and looked at all those tour dates that they had in there, and I sat and drew it up on a map. That was sort of the go-to. That's how you tour America. You do shows everywhere, 5 shows in Wisconsin, that sort of stuff, and probably 4 shows in Michigan, and all these smaller towns. I've always been very much an Americanophile, like we say in Swedish. Very fascinated with the whole concept of America and Americana, but also the concept of touring America. And, as a Metallica fan, just looking through the Damaged Justice tour, 88, 89, and Black Album tour, they played everywhere. So that was always the thing for me and Nick. We were always talking about that. Always, we need to play everywhere. And obviously, back then in the 80s, of course, rock was as big as Kendrick Lamar. So it was so much easier for bands to go around charging $10 per ticket just because they sold 1 million records a year. So obviously we can't we cannot mirror that entirely just yet. Maybe one day it will change and rock will be a little bit more fashionable. But on the other hand, the reason why we're not playing Detroit right now is simply because after Cobo Hall and Joe Louis Arena is gone, there's simply not a place for us to play, because we are not yet of that level where I guess Little Caesars want us. So we have to sort of work our way into that. But that will come as well. You just have to be patient.
When you get to play cities like Saginaw for the first time, do you have the opportunity to go out and drive around the area and sort of take in all that Saginaw has to offer because you've never been here before?
If we have a day off, that's usually what we try to do. On a show day, this is going to sound so boring, but this is, most of us are not 21. We're slightly older, and in order for us to sort of be functioning on stage, there's a whole tons of physical activity you need to do on the day before the show. And you need your naps, and you need your vitamins, and you need your steps in, and you need a lot of stuff like that. So it's a lot of the show days is actually very routine. It's very much like having a normal job, strangely enough. So it's usually on the off days. Back when we were touring in the past, and when we were playing like downtown sort of clubs and theaters, I spent so much time touristing. I mean, most of the cities that we played, I knew them pretty well after a while. I knew all the record stores, but also you played in areas that was a little bit more prone to that sort of activity. Usually venues and cool stuff like that is usually on the fun street where you have the hookah shops and back then maybe the Blockbuster and there was a little bit more like that area. Now when we're playing arenas, we usually end up at some parking lot somewhere outside, nowhere near anything. So anything that you do will require a lot of planning and energy. that we need to do in order to do that great show for you guys.
Joined by Tobias Forge from Ghost. The Imperatour will be at the Dow Event Center coming up on Monday. And when you play cities that you haven't played before, like Saginaw coming up on September 19th, do you notice anything different about these crowds, where maybe a large percentage of these people in attendance haven't had the chance to make a trip to Detroit, make a trip to Grand Rapids? Maybe this is their first time seeing you. Do you notice a difference in those audiences?
Traditionally, I've always been very excited about playing outside the majors, if you will, if you want to put it that way, simply because traditionally, and I'm saying traditionally before COVID, cities that had a lot of traffic, easily mentioned is obviously New York and LA, and the big cities that had concerts with big bands, big artists every day. The general vibe was a little bit blasé. Whereas if you were to hit a smaller city in the heartland and on a Friday night, that would be like one of the best nights you've ever had. Like, seriously, like, fantastic, because they let go, they have fun, and they drink, and of course, obviously you back when we were playing places that didn't necessarily cater to kids, if there was an age limit, of course there was a lot more alcohol and a lot more parties and a lot more fights, but that obviously colors your impression of what the vibe is on the night. Nowadays we obviously draw a lot more people. There are a lot more kids at the show. It's a lot more mixed. The crowd is very, very mixed. You have tons of teenage people, but also senior citizens, kids as in children, hard rockers, indie pop people, and it's very, very mixed. So that is sort of evened out a little, just because the general vibe is not very violent at all. It's actually pretty family friendly. People are nice to each other. So it isn't as brawly. And now on this tour, we've actually spoken about this, that it's even in the big cities, it depending on which day you're playing, you could have like a smaller town reaction, even though you're in a big town that shouldn't react like that. So it seems to be in a bit of a change now. But I mean, obviously a few years from now, when COVID is, but a memory, and all the concerts have been going through again, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of a divergence between Saginaw and Manhattan, of course. And that's why you like playing the smaller city, because that's when you get a warm welcome.
It sounds like, with you talking about the family atmosphere, talking about, children and older folks being at shows, you won't be anytime soon pulling a Tommy Lee and like asking crowd members to show their genitals at these shows, right?
I am surprised, considering a lot of the things that's being said on stage with this, that, and yeah, I don't know if I can say that on your radio show, but I'm sure people might have heard a bleep or something right now. But of course, our show is family friendly, but it requires a little bit of a liberal stance from the parents. And I'm surprised that we've sort of grown into the family fun that family seems to have on our concerts. And as it seems to pan out, I have no desire to sort of change it into something even more vanilla. I think that a lot of the things that are being said, a lot of the messages, is actually not very vanilla at all. And if these kids are embracing a lot of the subjects, or a lot of the thought processes, a lot of the questions, a lot of the issues we're sort of shining a light upon, I think that that is serious and a good thing. But if they can come and have fun, I don't know really how to sort of punchline this, but I like the level where it's at now. People seem to understand that it's fun, but it's also a serious undertone. The concerts are made to be fun. The records are not very fun. And if they like both, great.
Well, the show is coming up in 1 week, Monday, September 19th. The Imperatour is at the Dow Event Center. Ghost just played the UBS Arena in New York. You guys have played these huge venues. So for you guys to come to Saginaw, it's incredibly exciting for us. And I looked at your schedule, and after you wrap up these dates in Peoria and Green Bay, there's nothing on the schedule for Ghost. Can you give us a glimpse into what's next after you pass through Saginaw here in about a week?
We're gonna do a lot of touring in 2023, and we basically decided that we were sort of a little bit out of sync. The record came out in the spring, obviously, and that was great. We managed to do 50 shows in the spring, which was incredible, considering that, you know, where the state of the world was at that point, with not only war and uncertainty, but especially in Europe. We were sort of leaving for the tour, not knowing if some of these countries was going to be open yet, and that, you know, that the tour actually happened. It was one show that was canceled because of some sort of safety concern, and that was incredible. But we had already decided to not do the summer festival route, just because 2022's lineups was 2020's lineups. So there was no place for us. They couldn't cater to like a new band or coming in, because all the slots were taken since 2 years back. So we decided, okay, so we're going to have a summer off. Fantastic. And then we're going to do the US tour. And then we decided to sort of hunker down for some time. It's just simply too much going on right now. So many bands out, and it's just too crowded. It's hurting everyone, actually. I don't want to sort of bring out the fiddles for rock and roll music, but trust me when I say that a lot of your favorite bands are really suffering because of coming out of COVID. Everybody's trying to tour at the same time, and obviously people cannot see every band that comes through. So we just decided to just stay out of this. It's just too much. We're happy for what we got. We are ecstatic about this tour that we're doing now, that people show up, and that's a lot. And also, you know, to be without, you know, trying not to sound too political or too aware of things, but we had a planned tour in Europe also now in the winter, and Europe is just too weird right now. It's there's too much going on, and there's a huge energy crisis. So it was a nice relief to feel like, let's come back in March or something. Let's do something else, like just stay out. There's plenty of things that we can do, and there's plenty of others that needs to do their thing, and we have so much going on in 2023 anyway. We're going to do the whole world in 2023. Yeah.
Tobias Forge from Ghost, man, I appreciate it, dude. I am so excited that you're playing Saginaw. It's been a couple of years since I've been to a Ritual myself. I'm excited that you're coming to my hometown, my home state, my home area. So excited for the Imperatour to be here in Saginaw in 1 week. And I cannot stress enough how important it is for everybody to come out to the Dow Event Center on Monday to pack this show with Ghost and Mastodon and Spirit Box. Get there early, check out the openers, and of course, be there for the Ghost show, because it's unlike anything you've ever seen. Tobias, I'm looking forward to seeing you here in about a week, man. Thanks for taking some time.
I'm so much looking forward to come there. Thank you very much for having me.